Morning, Gavin Chamberlain from Bannerman Energy. I'm joined today by our Vice President Market Strategy, Olga, and we would like to talk to you today about Bannerman Energy and our project in Namibia.
Guys, welcome to London. This is the end of the conference, so it's been a long week. Has it been useful? What have you got out of it? What have you got out of it, Olga?
Out of the conference? Oh, we were so busy with the meetings. I haven't got anything from the conference itself, but I've got a lot from the meetings.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a second because off-takes are in the air. What about you, Gavin?
I think generally, though, the issue for us has been the lack and the difficulties in supply. A lot of people have been asking us questions around confidence in construction, supply problems, etc. I think the demand side of things speaks for itself. Most of the discussions has been around, can the supply actually meet their targets? I think that's where most of my conversations have been.
Right, because I think execution has been the problem. It's been demonstrable, certainly in the ISR guys. Hard rock's a different matter, but therefore I think the word is execution.
Yes. Yeah.
Execution. That is going to be the difference here. And I haven't seen you since March.
Yeah.
With
we brought Matt in.
Right. But what have you done since then?
So a lot. I mean, you've never been to site, but really the site's almost...
I have been to site.
Yeah, but it was before my time, so it doesn't count.
Okay.
Since we started with real work on site, I don't think you've been there.
Okay.
And I speak under correction if I'm wrong.
I will. I promise to come there in February of this year.
Okay, that's great, and we'll hold you to that.
Good.
Okay. So we've done an awful lot. The site's really moving well. I think the start of the highlight since March was the fundraising. We raised another 85 million, oversubscribed and well received by the market, which continued on the support that we had got almost a year to the day when we had previously raised 85 million. What that's allowed, it's given us impetus to continue with construction work. And really the highlights around construction is we've now completed the water, which I think we had done in March already. We've completed the roads, and we also now have construction power on site linked to the regional grid, so we can supply power to ongoing contracts.
Okay.
Plus, we've gone through our normal stage gate process with our board, and we're in the process. We have already placed 2 new contracts to continue with that momentum on site. And we've also managed, one of the big risks for us was we saw the potential of engineers leaving the project if we didn't extend the engineering contract. So on the back of the fundraise, we've also extended the engineering contract into next year and secured the wood engineers in Johannesburg and the Creo engineers in Namibia to continue with the design. A real key risk for us from the perspective of delivery. So on the whole as well, what we've continued to do successfully, I think, is we've maintained our strategy of using Namibian contractors. So even these new contracts are Namibian contractors, and there's one that hasn't been placed yet that will definitely go to a Namibian contractor as well.
Okay.
Once again, a commercial decision, because we don't have the added cost of fly out management coming from wherever, South Africa, Australia, or wherever. The guys are all locally based, and the labour force is all locally based. So we're not looking to bring in labour force or skills from outside of Namibia. And so far, all the Namibian contractors are delivering on time, on budget. So we're very pleased that that strategy is working for us. And as you know, we broke down contracts into smaller contracts to make them the right size for Namibian contractors. And that's really worked well for us. So good to see some strategic thinking working for us.
Okay. I want to get into the detail on some of those. I really do. But I want to talk to Olga first. Just announced today?
Today, yeah, this morning.
2 offtake agreements totaling, was it £1 million?
£1 million.
Okay, so it's significant. And you guys have been biding your time. You haven't been rushing into that. Is that because you wanted to be able to talk to, assume they're utilities, right? Okay. You want to be able to talk to utilities from a position of strength in terms of surety around delivery and timing, because you need good contracts. You need to be able to negotiate good contracts because you need to be able to raise capital to build the stuff further down the line. So what can you tell us about these offtake agreements?
Right, so from sales perspective, any contract is a good contract, right? Because it's good, in fact, just to sell. But
I would argue that you're so much stronger than others in terms of certainty and the terms. So I'm interested in the who and what exactly have you negotiated.
But you are right to notice that we are not in a rush, right? So we started this work talking with the utilities from 2023, but we've just achieved it just now. First of all, because we are not in a rush. We know that the market will be developing better, will be growing, the prices will be better. On the other hand, so we are waiting. It is like patient position for us. Yeah. On the other hand, we must exercise and train ourselves. We must train the team. So, for example, it took us several months preparatory work. We started working with the well-known legal consulting company to understand what are the legal requirements. So we need to understand this. We need to know what the customers, whoever they were, but primarily our primary customers are utilities. What are their requirements? How they see us as potential suppliers, particularly that we are in maybe slightly risky position because we are not an established miner yet. So we need to overcome all these potential, I wouldn't call it obstacle, it just works. So we worked with the consulting company, then we worked internally. Then when we felt strong and understood, we were ready to approach the utilities with proper commercial discussions and moving it forward towards commercial decision and eventually signing the contract. So it was long preparatory work. We now succeeded. It is a good outcome. It is like, you may say it like boxes ticked. We know that we can do it. We know that we can find the mutual language with the utilities, find the proper, you call it pricing, commercial terms, delivery terms, everything that utilities can potentially expect from us. We can meet this and we can sign the contract. So for us, it was important to get it done, to deliver this. And obviously, it is an amazing achievement for us because it's raising credibility. So it is not that we are just promoting ourselves, promoting our projects. We're really delivering. And if we are taking legal obligations on ourselves, we are confident that we are doing this, we will do this. And I'm very happy with this achievement.
Yeah, it's a kind of long, controlled road that you've been on, in the sense that you want to remain from a position of strength. One must negotiate from a position of strength. Now, I'm interested in what the utilities wanted from you, because if I'm looking at in a universe of current producers, it's been tough. It's been tough for some, and they are also contracted, but they've had to renegotiate deliveries because they've not been able to produce at the rate and at the time frame that they said or thought they would. So that utilities are going to be a little bit nervous about that, and presumably wanting to maybe even hedge some of the contracting that they're doing when talking to new parties like yourself, but also nervous about how do they make sure that their inventories are there when needed. So how did the current environment and the lack of delivery by many affect the negotiations and conversations that you've announced today?
That does affect us because, of course, the concerns are raising. And for us, the major important thing for us is to prove and to explain the technical side of our project. So they should be confident what we are doing, particularly because our process is heap leach production, right? It's slightly different, or quite a lot different from the ISR mine and from, for example, ramp-up period that ISR mines need and so on. So I think what we do with the technical team, so we are doing one-to-one discussions, we are doing virtual meetings, we are doing meetings at the conferences, and Gavin is supporting, the technical team is supporting. This is on one hand, so just explain why we are different, why we are confident, so just to raise the confidence in the utility. And the other question is to move on with the project. So I'm very happy we have monthly talks. We call it town hall meetings with the team, with the project team, and they update monthly about the movement of the project. And then next time when I'm meeting with the utility, I just bring it and deliver it to the utility, and they see that we are really moving on. And summertime was exceptionally active for us, and this is very rewarding because utilities see that we are doing lots of things on the ground, we are moving smoothly, and this is how the trust and credibility is built. So I think the project team, what you are doing, is amazing.
Right.
And it also
Well, let's talk to that. Let's pick up on that point, which is a good point. Is that you've got a board which have been in companies that have produced before. It kind of gives you the sort of oversight, as it were. Yeah. You built before, so the kind of historic credibility is there. But how do you sort of demonstrate that to the utilities and I guess to the market and to the board that things today are being built properly, will deliver effectively when you say they're going to, or when you decide when you're going to need to be able to make that production?
Yeah, so I mean, I think, Matt, that brings us back to our dual strategy that we always fall back on, which is effectively be prepared and be patient. So the be prepared is really what we share with the team. So we continually advising the team around what the next steps may be. And then I say maybe because you never know if they are going to happen or not, but it's really around looking at the project and saying, okay, for us to move it from point A to point B, these are the things we're going to have to do. And these contracts are part of that process. And I'd like to take this point just to really point out, Olga's done a fantastic job of pulling this together for us, and has been really strongly supported both by the financial and the legal teams in Australia. And it's a team effort, but without the management of Olga coming forward and actually bringing the knowledge of the utilities to us, we probably would have really battled to pull this off. So that's part of the team effort, and it's making sure that all parts of the company actually understand what the other people are doing so that they can support when required and step in when needed. But when it comes to the project work, it's probably a little bit easier. The easiest thing in the world to do is to spend money. But the most difficult thing to do in the world is to spend money wisely. And so there's a massive focus in the project team on trying to be capital conscious in terms of, yes, we want to place contracts, but we want to make sure that those contracts are commercially viable and sound for us, and that the people that we place them on can deliver. And we've got a really good record to date of delivering on time and on budget. And with the new bunch of contracts that have come in, we've had some ups and downs. So some savings on some contracts have substituted and paid for little overruns on other contracts in terms of budget and capex. But effectively, as long as you're continually monitoring the schedule and the capital control, you actually can control the project. And so we get warning signs very quickly through the consultants and the project controls team as to when things may be going wrong. And then we've got a team that's very, very quickly reactive in terms of solving problems.
And I think what I've noticed is you've been, as you said, you've been advancing things. You haven't slowed down. It's not a case of get contracts in, try and use that as a mechanism for raising the capex, well, certainly the debt component of what you may need to allow you to go and do the equity component of what you'll need. It's like, no, we're going to keep moving slowly along, organically, as it were, with these small capital raises that you're doing. Where's the point where you feel, I need to go to market? Will you need more contracts from Olga to be able to kind of give the banks the surety to actually put the money down for the
so
build?
I'm going to answer something before I answer that question. So what I'd like to do is give an example. So you were talking about the small controlled process we're following. So the process has been driven by two aspects. The one is by maintaining the critical path of the project. So the contracts that we're placing are contracts that will keep us on the critical path.
And
so
they are
that we
funded with cash in the bank today. You're not
today.
committing to anything that you can't pay for today. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Plus, we put clauses in those contracts that should we hit a speed bump, we can actually slow down and stop work if we have to without any penalty to ourselves.
Right.
But the reality is we're only placing contracts that move us forward on the critical path to ensure that we can commission in 2028 and deliver in 2029.
Right.
The second part of it is we also place contracts where we see capex opportunities. So to give you an idea, one of our contracts, we went out on tender and we had a significant saving on that contract when you looked at the person who came in with the best price, and on the basis of the saving, we actually motivated to the board that this was too good a saving to give up and delay the contract. So those are the two drivers that we use when we look at the packages that we place.
Okay.
Then coming back to your question around funding and what does it mean. So will we have to place more contracts? It depends on our final solution. So we've got two other work streams running, as you're well aware. Is we've got a debt fund work stream running, and we also have a strategic funding, a strategic partnership work stream running. So depending on which one ends up being the best solution, we may or may not have to place more contracts. But at the end of the day is the contracts we've placed meet the shareholders' requirements and would also meet any debt requirements that we may have. So it's a good stepping stone towards getting more contracts, but the focus now is on layering those contracts in and increasing the upside for ourselves.
Is it true that this, when I first came back into the uranium space, with 2018, 19, we need contracts to raise the money we need to do the build. In fact, that's the only thing that works. It seems less and less true with you because you seem to be in control of a critical pathway without the need to rush in, as Olga has said. We're in control. We don't need to do it so quickly to please the market. We've done it at the time that suited us. Do you think the market, because of the supply issues, is like it was historically, or do you think that if you are a credible body, a team, you can perhaps not worry so much about needing to demonstrate, I need contracts, term contracts to get funded here? It's a bit more conventional in that sense.
Yeah, so I certainly believe that there is a change in the perception around you have to just get a whole lot of contracts and then you can get your debt and then you can build your project. There are more options on the table nowadays.
Yeah, okay, interesting.
And so for this step for us has been important from the perspective of we've got, let's say our team is now match fit. We know that if we have to get a lot of contracts, that the team is more than capable of pulling them together quickly, and they also understand where the market is. However, as a company, we want to get the best returns for shareholders. So we're still going to be patient. We're not going to be forced. We now know that we understand the process really well and we can react really, really quickly, but we're still going to be patient. So to give you an idea, with the cash in the bank, with the contracts that we've placed, we can get all the way through to mid-year next year before we have to sign any alarm bells, and that's still with a substantial cash balance in the bank.
It kind of feels to me that and again, as an ex-banker, it's like even when we were offering term sheets to companies, we needed that validation from someone who knew what the heck they were doing, because we certainly didn't, as bankers, needed to have a utility go, no, we think these guys can do this. But I think maybe there's the education that's been going on, and also people coming back into the uranium finance space, which they'd long vacated. It may be slightly easier and less necessary to have this validation going on. So that's an admission of a banker. We know everything, but we don't.
I think the validation is still important because it's nice to know that the utilities have had a look at us, had a look at our schedules, had a look, been on site visits, and the outcome of that has been 2 contracts, which is validation and is giving a message to the rest of them.
But it feels. Now, what I'm trying to work out is for others.
Yes.
Could they go through a process without getting the needing to get validation from a utility, because there seems to be different sorts of new types of money coming into the space, very interested. People will talk to about the tech companies, and they'll talk about generalist funds, and it seems to be that there's a big interest in energy again, which is great. But will that new money usurp old money, as it were? I hope not, by the way.
I don't actually believe it will, to be honest. Yeah. I do think we have more options than we had previously. But once again, I come back to, we've always been prepared. So when I joined the company, we had enough money in the bank to do the front-end engineering design immediately. Right. Yeah. When we finished the feed, we had enough money in the bank to be able to place the first construction contracts. When we got the mining license, the day after, we placed our first contract. when we did this recent capital raise, we already had contracts ready to move us on the critical path and move us forward. So it's been a step-by-step process, and with a supportive board like I've got, it's been achievable. A lot of boards would not have allowed you to do as much pre-construction work as we're doing without an FID. So the fact that the board has been open to the stage gate approach, I think is a really big positive. And what it has done is I really believe it's moved Bannerman effectively to the front of the greenfields projects, which is it's neither here nor there, but I definitely believe that's where we are positioned.
Right, and it's one of those things I think the sector needs. We need some good stories, and we certainly don't want anyone to fall over. I think there was a nervousness with Paladin had their wobble at the end of last year, and even Encore at the beginning of this year, and you know, we want it to work. We want everyone to succeed. We need everyone to succeed. But I guess I'm looking for the leverage stories. Where does the leverage come from? How do I, as an investor, make money? What's the best place to put my money? Because I can't invest in everyone.
Yeah.
So when you're sort of looking around the landscape at the moment, at the advanced developer stories, what do you think are sort of the main barriers to them actually delivering and getting this thing over the line, executing?
It's very difficult.
Without naming names, I'm not
Yeah,
saying
no, it's
name
very
names,
difficult
you know.
to really comment on that. It's easy to talk about what we're doing, and I don't spend a lot of time looking at what other people are doing.
But do you think that you're doing things differently, or is everyone doing the same?
No, I think we are doing things. I think the stage gate approach is significantly
Tell me what you're doing
different.
differently then, and I'll work out who's not doing that.
Okay. Well, I mean, so we got a mining license, and we had a 3-month statement in there that you had to start construction within 3 months.
Okay.
We did that. Now, there are other mining licenses around where no work's been done.
Yeah.
But dates are not changing. They're staying the same. We updated our DFS effectively a year after we published it, because we knew that the capital costs potentially would have climbed up. So we've got a very recent capital cost. A lot of our peers are only starting to now republish capital numbers. So I like to think that we've been ahead of the game all the way.
Okay.
But the thing as well is, and what I say to my team as well, what keeps me awake at night is complacency, is the day so we're celebrating 2 contracts today, and now I'm already starting to worry about, okay, well, what's going to go wrong tomorrow? And we're trying to get that mindset into the team, is think ahead. Don't just celebrate your successes, but know following a success, you're likely to have something which is challenging.
Well, as investors always say, so what next?
Yeah.
Right, great.
Yeah.
What next?
Yeah. So what's next for us is to make sure that these projects deliver.
Yeah.
And to close out one or other of the other 2 work streams.
Okay.
And once again, we're not chasing a line in the sand. We never will. But you know, FID is probably achievable anywhere between tomorrow and the middle of next year.
Right. So a few things that kind of people throw at us, certainly about you. Okay. Most recently, politics, Namibia.
Yeah.
Something I never really worried about till this year.
Yeah.
So what's happening on the ground there?
Look, the long and the short of it is that we have a mining minister now who have made a public statement around 51% ownership.
Yeah.
Didn't explain what 51% ownership meant. Has not shared any sort of changes to law or whatever that are going to affect it. Made a very clear statement that it's only going to affect new mining licenses. And yeah, we could sit back and say, oh, well, that's great because we've already got our mining license, doesn't affect us. But at some point we're going to have to renew our mining license. So we can't sit back and ignore it. So the Chamber of Mines in Namibia is a fairly strong body, and has pulled together all of the other mines, and has made representation and presentations to the new mining ministry. And has even managed to get a seat at the strategic function to put forward the mining's view. So we believe that we're still going to get a sensible outcome, and we will get clarity, and it will happen over time. And the definition of 51% ownership needs to be cleared up. But
Of what?
yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean, is it the minerals? Is it the revenue? We don't know. So there will always be a knee-jerk reaction to a statement like that. But I think the sanity and the logic and the understanding of how Namibia works is I would be a whole lot less worried about it. but we are putting additional attention on it to make sure that we can put the best foot forward.
Okay.
So it's really around education and working with them.
Yeah.
And they're not anti us. They're more than happy to hear us and listen to us. So we see it as something we have to be aware of and we have to manage, but not something that should send us running for the hills.
So it's not a case of yet another African country going for nationalism or nationalising of industry or mining specifically. There's a conversation that needs to be had.
That's what we're taking away from it is, yes, it may have been a populist political statement, but it's been very much a case of, in the background, there's a whole lot of cooperation happening between the Chamber of Mines, individual mines, and the mining ministry. And to give you an idea, I mean, the president actually went and visited Rossing and came out with very positive comments around her visit there. So, you know, it's an education of the ministry's team in terms of what mining is doing for the country.
Okay.
And it's very, you know, we're getting a lot of communication around the positives that mining is putting into Namibia.
Okay. And the country needs to be able to do the same for mining to coexist and be fair. Okay. We'll stay on top of that one. With regards to, again, some of the other, I'm just throwing things at you, which I get thrown at me every day of the week, which is obviously Namibia is such low grade. How can you possibly make money, Gavin?
I mean, that question, I think you've asked that to me before.
Once or twice.
So put it this way, in Namibia, we probably mid-pack. We know that if you compare us to Canada, our grade is very, very low. However, we have a fantastic material that leaches extremely well.
Yeah.
We have trialed it to the nth degree over a number of years. We know that we can heap leach it quickly.
Right.
And we know that we can process the liquid into yellow.
So what are all the basic variables that affect costs, right, for you? It's shallow.
It's shallow. So we got a strip ratio of 2.1, really, really positive for us. We've got a uniform material, so we're not having to mix and match and blend. You know, what we blast is either goes to waste or goes straight to the crushers.
It's not consuming too much acid.
Yeah, there's no carbonates, so our acid usage is low. Probably the lowest in Namibia.
Yeah.
What else?
Transportation.
Mill, saving electricity.
Yeah, so
on
there's no massive mill. We've just got three crushers in circuit. Obviously, that saves us in terms of initial power requirements. Olga, what else? You know it probably better than me.
But I think the point is, it's, you know, different mines have got different variables in terms of the cost. If you're mining at 1,500 meters, it's different from, you know, the 300 meter pit. And again, hard rock versus ISR. Everything's got different variables. It's not a grade only question. So I've been dealing with this for far too long. I haven't.
I should be asking you the questions.
It's just. I think people new to the space. It's very easy throwaway line to go, oh, but the grade's low. So great, that's one factor. And yes, higher grade would be great, but all the other things which cost. And one fantastic CEO taught me something actually earlier this month, which was, I said, what are your top three costs? He said, well, obviously energy, with the chemicals involved, and tires. And I'm like, what?
Yes.
Yeah. Tires. What's this third highest cost? So there's lots of things that can affect your margin. Ultimately, what we're talking about is the ability to create margin.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to add in there as well is, and it's a throwaway comment almost, but it's very real, is the difference between ISR and us is we can see what we're mining. Yeah. You know, if we have a bad patch, the chances are your miners are actually going to pick up visually that there's a bad patch and that we maybe need to move to a different area of the pit. Very difficult in ISR. It's a very different ball game in terms of mining.
Yeah. Okay.
And on top of this, I can add that the location of the mine itself. So we were expected to be the employer of choice because we are the closest mine to the town where our employees will be located, and the port. We are very close to the port, and we don't need to invent a wheel, you know, because we are not located in the middle of nowhere. Infrastructure is there. The port is operating for 45 years. There are operation companies, transportation companies, vessels and vehicles, and, you know, so they can do it, and it's huge support. So imagine if we're sitting somewhere in the middle of the African continent, that would be completely different game in terms of finding out what to do and how to export the uranium. So the mine mine can be extremely rich, but how will you deliver your uranium? You know, it is also a major question. It's important.
Yeah, and you guys are quite close to both Husab and Rossing, who take advantage of the
the
same
infrastructure's there. Yeah.
infrastructure.
I mean, that's the other thing as well is when you talk about Namibia, so yes, maybe low grade in worldwide, not low grade Namibia, but Namibia for us has huge advantages. So our capital cost portion of infrastructure is less than 10%. An average project in anywhere else in Africa is going to be between 40 and 50%. So the fact that we don't spend that extra 30 or 40% on the capital cost is a massive advantage to us.
Cost of money.
Yeah.
We forgot about that on the list. Cost of money. Absolutely. Fair point. So look, I think, like you said at the outset, supply is the issue. Yeah. Those who can move forward will move forward. Yeah. Those who can get into production will get into production. The rest will talk about it. For that kind of first mover advantage, that's being one of the very few being able to move into production. What does that do for other conversations that you may be having around capital finance costs, the ability to have conversations with utilities, that kind of political support that you get when you actually do what you say you're going to do for your conversations, with the ministry, etc. It's hugely advantageous. Must be. You must see that at this conference.
Yeah, I think probably Olga could talk to it.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely. So I started working in 2023, and we launched
with Bannerman.
With Bannerman, with Bannerman.
She's not that young.
You see, I'm thinking just about Bannerman. There are no other. There is no history, and I see big difference between the attitude, in terms of talks with the customers or with the investors. I really see this gradual increase in interest towards us. Really,
you saw that in 2023. It was like,
it's a huge difference. Yes,
do what you say and come back to us.
Exactly, because we are moving on. We are coming closer to the time of the production, and we have done a couple of capital raisings, and we use this money wisely in terms of moving on and the development. And obviously, every time we do something on, something else, or every time we do something in the mine, on the ground, it de-risks us, and it changes the prospect, the aspiration about the company. And
they have faith.
Yeah.
They have faith.
Yeah.
Well, look, guys, look, appreciate it. We're going to speak to your chairman,
yes,
Brandon, about his thoughts from the conference, which were probably aligned with yours.
I couldn't attend it, unfortunately. I'm sure it's brilliant, but
thanks for
I haven't
making the
seen
time
anything.
now. You've got to rush off, I know that as well. And Gavin, great to see you. Maybe you, Matt, or others can come and kind of keep us up to speed before Christmas and see where you're at. What are your expectations over, I guess, the next 6-12 months in terms of deliverables?
Look, there's a large focus on the two funding streams.
Right. Okay.
But really, in terms of what we're doing, more of the same on site, delivering against targets. And I need to compliment my Namibian team as well. They've done a fantastic job, and we've managed to slowly build up that team. We've got 14 permanent staff in Namibia now, but we've got 140 people, construction staff. We got our 1 million man-hours LTI free a month ago. It just says a lot for the right sort of focus of the people on site. And the construction team, the consultants on site, doing a good job. We're 140 now. By the end of the year, we'll be 400 people on site.
That also says a lot about simplicity of the project, which should have a knock-on effect. It also says a lot of simplicity around the costs of the project.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, and the fact that we have been able to do this in a stage gate, even though people say, well, the project's going to take longer, it's going to cost you more, is at the end of the day, the focus has been fantastic. So we're achieving our goals as we move along. And, stepping up from 140 to 400, nobody on site is scared of that. But if you'd gone from 0 to 400, with that comes all sorts of stress and unknowns that the team is now well equipped to deal with. So I'm very happy with the way the team on site's working.
Relentless. Olga, lovely to see you again. Congratulations on the announcement today. And
thanks, Matt.
Young man, keep doing your thing.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good stuff.